The 2020 Kia Sportage continues to be a very interesting and valid option in the compact SUV segment, the very hotly contested compact SUV segment. The reasons are, well, look, design. Even though it dates back to 2015 or so, it's still reasonably contemporary, looks good, it's not oversized, the proportions are still good. Honestly, it's an attractive SUV. Another thing is value. Yes, Kia, Hyundai still own most of what everyone would consider getting a lot for your money. Case in point, the base LX front-wheel drive, which is $25,795, includes 17-inch wheels, heated front seats, 8-inch touchscreen, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and on and on and on. And now that's a lot for under $26,000. What's kind of interesting, unless you keep tabs of the Sportage, there was a time when you could get it maybe 4 different ways: LX front-wheel drive, LX all-wheel drive, EX, SX, and that pretty much covered everything. But now in 2020, or for the last little while, there are 9 different versions of this thing. The most popular is the mid-trim, the EX, and it starts at $31,695. You still get the 2.4 liter, but you get obviously all-wheel drive, a bunch of other features, including a 10-way power driver's seat, forward collision avoidance, lane keeping assist, and on and on and on. There's also the SX, top of the line, but that's not what this model is. But it's not a regular EX, it's an EX Tech, which goes for $37,995 Canadian dollars. For that money, you get the 18-inch wheels, power passenger seat, you get UVO, navigation, cooled front seats, heated rear seats. What else? Well, there's a lot more, but I can't think or remember all of it. So it's very, very loaded. If you want the SX, the turbocharged version with the 2-liter, paddle shifters, 19-inch wheels, it's $2,000 more. I don't think I'd ever spend more than, the 2.4 is fine. Anyways, I'll show you. Now let's do the usual tour. More reasons why this thing is quite interesting. The more time I spend with it, unfortunately, it goes back very, very shortly. But see, also power hatch. Don't understand why some people don't think that's a viable option or accessory to pay for. It's my favorite. Anyhow, 800 liters of trunk space is what Kia says you will find when you do open the rear hatch. It's not, doesn't look like 800 liters. If you lower this floor into the lower notch right there, the lower of the two, and the carpets are back here, you do get a few extra liters, and the seat backs are actually reclined backwards, so it kind of eats up into the trunk space. But there's a very good reason why I'm doing that right now, and that's because of the way the baby seats just perfectly sits on the lower seat cushion and lines up beautifully with the seat back. It is perfectly anchored. Reclining seat back, absolutely winning aspect. Another winning aspect, some of you might not think about it, but look at the cutout in the rear door. That makes ingress and egress very easy, and sliding in the seat, look, you can see the full seat because of this cutout. Anyway, getting in and out of this thing is very, very easy, and it's very spacious back here. It's my driving position as always. The amount of legroom is completely nuts. You could sit 3 across without baby seats. With baby seats, no, you won't be able to fit a third person in the middle. Rear heated seats, as I mentioned. Oh, another thing. Again, this is another example of the greenhouse being very, very high, or small, I should say, on this vehicle. So the kids can't actually see out the window, but thankfully, massive, massive sunroof. Okay, so here are your 10-way power seats. They're as comfortable as they look, reasonably well supportive, and I forget about it sometimes, but the Kias and Hyundais, the materials may not be the top shelf stuff, but the way it comes together and the textures and then the touchy-feely parts, actually quite nice. It is really, really warm outside, so let's start it up. I'm going to activate the cooled seats. Yes. All right, so there are your gauges. Nothing's really changed here. I love the ratio of analog and digital. Everything you want to know just shows up right there. It's perfectly set up. The steering wheel is good grip. Nice shape. There's your standard 8-inch display, which works very well. Also, touchscreen, plenty of menus, relatively easy to navigate. You get used to where everything is, and if you never, if you don't get familiar with what's on the screen, you have just about all the possibilities in redundant touchy-feely buttons, as many of us still like. Layout is very ergonomic, very simple. Down here you have your drive modes, and yes, you can lock-ish the 4 wheels. Storage is actually quite good. Door bins are decent. This one is good. Plenty of space in here. Yes, wireless charger, absolutely fantastic. The cable's there for Apple CarPlay. This is a great place. Oh, yeah, while I'm here, visibility is a little bit kind of dicey when you're making that left turn, but otherwise it is fantastic. I mean, the hood really cascades down, and my driving position is always at the absolute lowest setting, and so otherwise it's really, really nice. Okay, and speaking of nice, driving this thing is also really nice. I get why people, I've driven this before and I tend to forget, but getting back behind the wheel of a Kia Sportage, the final element that makes it so interesting is how refined it still is. So let's go for a spin. So let's just start right at the beginning. The 2.4 liter engine, 181 horsepower, 175 pound-feet of torque. Doesn't make it the most potent of 4-cylinder engines available in this segment, but surprisingly it is and feels quite alive. The 6-speed automatic transmission, I've been doing this job for so long, I never thought I'd see the day or I'd find that 6 gears is a little, lacking. Although I haven't, it's the first time I say this, but a couple of extra gears would give this thing wings, essentially. All that torque comes in at 4,000 RPM, so you roll into the throttle and you keep it in there, and it does really come alive. That's steering. Electric power steering, as most of them are today. As per the norm, little to no feedback, but very responsive. No on-center play. It feels really tight. Like there's no hesitation when you do give it a little bit of steering input. Same thing with the brake pedal. It's on the money. There's no delay in braking power or application. Everything works really, really well. And I've said it a couple times in this video already, and I kind of feel silly admitting it, but I tend to dismiss the Sportage in this segment because the competition is so strong and so capable. One of the reasons, and I'll mention it now before I continue talking about the drive, is that in my experience, these vehicles after a couple of years just don't feel as good as they do right now. I mean, my tester has 13,000 kilometers, which is enormous for a press unit, but this one is holding together quite well. I mean, there's some weird things, like the mirror is really loose and it's kind of cracky, and I mean that has nothing to do with the drive, but it makes my spider sense tingle somehow. Like 3 years from now, won't be the same. But right now, I suppose what's important is that the ride is so well sorted. It's very German in the sense that it's very compliant. The dampers do their job. The 18-inch wheels are just the right size where you have enough sidewall for relative comfort, when you're going over potholes, for example, and enough sportiness that when you do yank on the wheel, the thing doesn't want to roll onto its sides and crush its side view mirrors. And it's quiet in here. There are no rattles except for this, which is really weird. And it feels nice on the highway, even at speeds of 110, 100 kilometers an hour. It feels sorted, planted, safe, secure, just as much as you'd want it to be. So the question, as always, is: do you get a Kia Sportage? All of these compact crossovers in this segment have one common enemy, and that is the Toyota RAV4. It's not perfect, but it's damn close to being perfect. And then you have the Honda CR-V, and then you have the Subaru Forester, and then the Mazda CX-5, and you know, you've kind of done the full run. And then somewhere after all that, along, maybe this one might be a notch above the Equinox and Cherokee, if you throw that one in the mix, even though it is a little bit larger. It's not on the top of my list, but for the right price, for the right discounts, with the right set of minds, and if you keep the trim low and the purchase price low, this thing is going to feel great for those first 3 years. And you're gonna wonder what the heck I'm talking about until you get to year number 4, I guess. Anyhow, that's it. Kia Sportage.